just walked through a spider's web and it went all over my face and it stuck to my sunscreen, and oh, don't like it. I wonder what this is the remains of. At first you just think it's a pile of rocks, but then you see this arch, and obviously it's been built for something. Wonder what? Whose idea was it to come walking in Wales in the middle of the Brecon Beacons in February? I think I'd like just to be able to see something. Why do I do this? When I plan this, I think this is fun. I'm not having much fun right now. It's wet. It's raining, windy, didn't bring any gloves out, my fingers are cold. Oh yeah! Great time! I'm about halfway now, so suck it up, I'm not gonna die. One foot in front of the other, and I can make it back to a warm pod, to snuggles with my doggy, and a hot cup of tea. Ugh, sounds great. Look at that hole! It just kind of sinks. How is that made? Is that like a sinkhole? Or do you think something hit it? Like a giant asteroid? Strange. So that peak there is Carreg Goch, 1830 something feet. Now I was planning when I looked at this walk to kind of make a detour to go up it to get the views, but I really don't think there's any point today. I'm not going to be able to see anything. It's just going to be even windier up there, and yeah, it's just not going to be very nice. So we're just sticking to, I say the track, it's not really a track, but we're just sticking to the route that kind of goes around it instead. Speaking of which, how do I get around this? So here's some of the wreckage from one of the plane crashes. And I think there seems to be like a memorial up here. Let's go look at that. This is the crash site of a Wellington bomber plane. On the 20th of November 1944, during a night cross-country exercise, the plane developed trouble due to ice forming on the port engine. All 6 Canadian crew members were killed in the crash. The Brecon Beacons is one of the main mountain regions in the UK, and it's also the location to a major training centre for the Air Force, so it's also home to several crash sites. Now the ones on this map are just in the Black Mountain area, but there are many more. I am currently here at the National Showcase Centre. And the crash site I've just been and seen is number 5 on the list. It really does hit home when you can see the faces of the men who have sadly lost their lives in these crashes. This route is taking some navigating because it's not a really clear track. This is probably as clear as it's been, and obviously everywhere looks the damn same. Nothing stands out, so it's really easy to wander off track. I have done it a couple of times, and then I've noticed and I've got myself back on track, and I'm going in the right direction at the moment. I know where I am, but yeah, it's to keep checking. So yeah, it's really testing my navigation skills and also my GPS on my phone, because I'll be honest, I'm relying on that quite a lot at the moment. Although I kind of know where I am still using my GPS because, you know, it's just easier. Look, a trail. Let's hope this is the right one that I'm meant to be following. Better check. I know I'm meant to be going past that lake. Here's some more holes. What causes these in the ground? It's just like sinkholes. Like the ground is just like, that one's even got a tree growing out of it. So some of you might have noticed that Winston isn't here, and that's because I left him back in the pod. So I don't know if you can see me, it's like a blur on the camera, I can't see properly. And that's because yesterday was quite intense, more intense than I thought it was going to be for a 4-mile walk, and mainly because of all those steps, and not just the amount of steps, but also the depth of them. They were quite deep and quite big, so he was jumping off these steps and having to jump back up with them, and it's a lot for a dog his age. So although he didn't come back on 3 legs, he came back okay. There were a couple of times I just thought, you don't look quite right. So instead of dragging him out today on this 5-mile walk in the wind and the rain, I decided it was best just to let him sleep it off in the pod. Now, for anyone that starts panicking, thinking, oh, you can't leave him in the caravan on his own, where do you think he goes when I have a shower? Where do you think he goes when I have to go food shopping or I have to go anywhere that doesn't allow dogs? He stays in the caravan. When we are travelling, the caravan is our home. So it's no different than leaving him at home for a couple of hours. So I took him out this morning, he went to the toilet, he had his breakfast, and then I put him back to bed and I left some water inside for him, and he's just going to sleep. And to prove it to you, I set up an action cam in the pod to video record him whilst I'm gone, and I can guarantee you he will just be fast asleep. The only other thing he will do is he will make a mess of the bed. So he will rummage around in the bed trying to make like a little hole, and he will just basically mess up all the blankets in the duvet. But yeah, he's just trying to get comfy. But yeah, he would have just slept, and I think it was a much better option to allow him to sleep and to rest after such a big day yesterday, and then I can come out and do this. So I've been about 1 hour 45 minutes so far. The campsite is down there, so I'll be back in about 15 minutes. So I'd have only been gone about 2 hours, and Winston would have had a lovely 2-hour nap. He will be warm, he will be dry, and he will be nicely rested. And I think that's a much better option for him than making him do this today. I think, to be fair, I think I would have preferred to do that instead of doing this today. But you know, it is what it is. When I got back to the campsite, I took Winston out so that he could go to the toilet and to have a little stretch of his legs. But all he wanted to do was to go back to the pod. And this is because even though he hadn't been on a hike, he still knew he was going to get a treat. And today's post non-hike treat is a pig's tail. But not the usual pigtails that he's used to. These ones are slightly different, and I haven't quite decided whether Winston likes them or not yet, but he still ate it. I've just had the best shower. So you know you've been out in the elements and your hands are cold, your feet are cold, and then you just get to stand under that nice hot water. So yeah, I've just had that. Back in the pod now, making some chili, some rice and some chickpeas. And see, Winston is absolutely fine. Now let me show you around the campsite. So this is the Brecon Beacons campsite, and it's literally in the centre of the Brecon Beacons and next door to the National Show Cave Centre for Wales. Now it's a large site with one big facilities block in the centre. Inside this block you'll find your washing up area and also mixed shower facilities. But instead of a shower cubicle, you get a whole bathroom suite to yourself. So that includes a toilet, a sink, a heated towel rail, and of course a shower. And I also think that they had underfloor heating as well. Now outside they do have a dog and bike wash, although technically it is just a cold tap with a small piece of hose pipe attached to it, but it's still handy when you've got a muddy dog or a muddy bike. To stay here, I paid £30 per night in February 2024, and that is one flat rate for an electric pitch, so there were no add-ons. I also think that all the pitches are fully serviced because when I arrived I got to pick my own, and the one that I got had my electric, my freshwater and my grey waste all on the pitch, and I think that all the other pitches are like that as well. Overall, this was one of my favourite campsites to stay at during this trip. Firstly, the location was just perfect, and secondly, I loved the pitch that I had because it had a stream running out the back of it. So it's about 7:30 in the evening, and it's been a really strange day where nothing's really went to plan. So I woke up this morning to a weather warning of high amounts of rain. Now after yesterday and getting really wet yesterday and been out in the wind and the rain up in the hills, I just thought I don't want to go out again in that. And with it being a weather warning, it was obviously going to be worse than yesterday because yesterday didn't have the weather warning. So I decided to stay in the pod and to sort a little bit of work out this morning, and then I was going to go to Tesco to get some food shopping and some bits, and also to top the van up in fuel. Now the work I had to do, I thought I'd be done by 9-10 o'clock at the latest. 1 o'clock I finished. Nothing went to plan whatsoever. Now because it's February, it gets dark at about 4 o'clock, so I didn't want to go to Tesco then because I felt like I was just wasting the last bit of daylight hours. So Winston and I got waterproofed up and we went out to kind of do some little jobs. So I emptied the chemical toilet and refilled it, sorted the water out, refilled it, emptied the wastewater, took Winston for a little walk. We tried to go to the country park that's really nearby. There's a trail for it from the campsite. We got literally just around the corner and the whole thing was flooded, and we was like, okay, we're just going to go back. I'm not even going to try and find a way around. So we came back again, and the stream at the back of the caravan, that is just in complete full force. It's really powerful. There's so much water going down it. And then we came back into the caravan, had some food, and then I went off to Tesco, did shopping, got some fuel, came back. And today's Wednesday, so a vlog just got released today. So now I'm responding to all the comments for that. So it's just been a strange day. We've been doing stuff all the time, but I feel as though we've not done anything, and I feel as though we've been stuck inside the whole day. Even though I've not been stuck inside the whole day, it feels like that. Does that make sense? But the good news is that weather warning is now finished, and tomorrow, although it is still meant to be raining, it's not meant to be as bad. So we are going to go out on a walk tomorrow. I have 2 walks that I want to do, so I need to decide, okay, which one do I want to do tomorrow on Thursday and which one do I want to do on Friday. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.